Hi, I'm Dave Koch, and welcome to my world. I am a real estate photographer here in Salt Lake City, and I saw a post on Facebook yesterday that sort of intrigued me in the real estate forum, and it basically said that he was getting disillusioned with his job as a photographer, and that so many people around him were in a race to the bottom, and that he felt really disenchanted with the market and wondered if there was any future in it. And a lot of people said the obvious, don't be a part of that race to the bottom. That's obvious, But, I was looking at that as, the last couple of years have been, the brain dead could make a living at this job because it was just such a free for all. And now the pedal's hitting the metal. Things you're going to have to be not just a photographer, but you're going to have to be good. And all of a sudden, we're separating the wheat from the chaff, as it were. So I decided I was going to kind of take a look at this and see if maybe I can show what I'm feeling about this. My personal feeling, and this may be a little rough, but I think this is good. I think the people got in this because they felt that they were good with a camera, or somebody told them that they take really good shots or something like that. They're going away, and the people who don't know what they're doing and just thought this was a quick buck or something like that, they're going to be falling to the wayside. And hopefully what we're going to be left with is a core of really good photographers who know what they're doing and do a really good job. I know photographers who are not very good photographers, but maybe they're good at business. They're making a good living. I know some people who are really good photographers, maybe not so good at business, not making such a great living, but they're making a living. But I think when you're a lackluster photographer and you're not putting any effort into it, you're just shooting and sending it to Vietnam or something like that, just shooting HDR, and you're not very good at business, I don't think you're going to do well in this business, especially moving forward. And I think you should seriously consider a change of career, because this is not where you're going to survive. You have to put some effort into it. It isn't just walking into a house like this and taking pictures. There's a lot more to it. And, the other thing that a lot of people miss is that it is a business, and you have to treat it like a business. You have to understand business principles, and you have to move forward, treating it like a business. And if you don't do that, it's just as bad as not being a good photographer. That's half the equation. So I'm here in this house. I'm in what's called the Avenues in Salt Lake City. It's a beautiful area. I hope you can see. It's beautifully staged. This is one of my long-term clients. She does her own staging, and I think she does a great job. She certainly makes it appealing. And she's obviously doing the extra step by coming in and taking a vacant house and putting things in it. And if you want to be a successful photographer, this is what you have to do, in my opinion. Walt Disney. I was an art gallery owner. I sold Disney product, and I got to go to a lot of Disney training sessions. And one of the things I learned that Disney does is called plussing a sale. And that doesn't mean that you're the cheapest, which Disney is not. I think we all realize that. And it doesn't mean that you give things away, which Disney does not. But what they do is when you buy something like let's say that this was a Disney sculpture. When you buy a Disney sculpture, there's something extra special about this sculpture that you discover when you get it. And that may be that the eyes of the horses are crystal. Swarovski crystal or something like that, or that the leaves here are gold plated. There's something that takes this from just a good sculpture to something very special. And that's what you need to do with your photography. You don't need to compete on price. And that's a whirlpool that goes down and is a death spiral. But what you do need to do is you need to plus your work so that you stand out and you're the guy or gal who does such and such, or, oh yeah, they did this for me. And you're going to have to figure out what that plussing is for yourself, what you are going to do to make yourself stand out. I'm going to go through a couple of things here and give you some things that I think will make you stand out as a photographer more than your competition. And may work for you, it may not. This is what works for me, and this is the things that stand out to me and I think will make you a standout photographer. So I think I'm going to go through about 5 things. I don't know. I never learned how to count. It might be 6, might be 3. I don't know. But let's move. Well, let's look at the first step that you do when you come into a new house. Obviously, you've never been here before, or neither have I. So what do? Do you just break out your gear, bring it in, set it up, and just start shooting? I think my first tip for you is probably the easiest, and it's so easy to overlook, but it's super, super important. Don't pull out your gear. Walk through the house. See what stands out. See what catches your eye. And plan your shoot based on what excites you, what you see, what is new and different in this house that you didn't see in the last house that you shot. And sure, you're going to get the standard shots from the corners of the room and things like that. But you're also going to, if you do this right, focus on the things that make that house unique in the market. And that's what's going to make it stand out on the MLS. When all your competition is doing HDR shots from that corner, that corner, that corner, and that corner, and you're all of a sudden showing shots that well, there's an alcove over here, and I got a shot of that, not a standard shot, not what you would normally shoot, but it's unique to this house, and I'm going to make this house stand out. Think about this. When Mr. and Mrs. Homebuyer are looking through the MLS, they're going to go, oh, there was that house, oh, there was that house, oh, the house with the alcove. It's going to make that house stand out in their mind and therefore make it unique and make it something that they can discuss. And by calling it the house with the alcove, they're going to know what house they're talking about. So shooting a house and showing the things that make it unique are one way that you can stand head and shoulders above your competition. And when you go through the house, make simple adjustments, like making sure that all the shades or the whatever is on the windows are level and even. You know, go through and make sure that all the little things are adjusted. Toilet seats are down, we all know that, but there are other things like blinds and, you know, look at beds. Make sure that they're nice and smooth and even and level. You know, just do those little things that plus out rooms. Here's another thing to notice. Again, it's another little alcove. The realtor, who I think I mentioned did the staging here, thought enough of this to put something here. So why not take a shot of this too? It'll be unique and different to this house and say something about this house. It'll talk about the eccentricities of this house and then again, make it stand out. Make you stand out. Pay attention to light. Where's the light in this room coming from? Right here. And what's right here? My flash. So I'm lighting from where the light comes from so the room looks natural. And then there's the age-old debate of lights on or lights off. In a room like this with plenty of daylight and a daylight light, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to leave it on because, well, why not? I'm lazy. But in a room like this, another thing I'll pay attention to is not just the light in the room I'm shooting, but the light from the rooms behind the room I'm shooting. Something like this, I'll do a flash in this room. I'll do another flash in the hallway and or in the bathroom so that I get a nice even color temperature. That's why I usually shoot with 3 flashes, because I'm always coming up with situations like this where there is something behind or in a small area. So I'll use the 8200s in bigger areas like this, or maybe even the hallway. But the bathroom, I'll use that little AD100 Pro, the little Coke can size thing. And that's perfect for little things like that. Now let's look at something else that makes my work stand out from my competitions. What's this right here? What's this right here? There's another one over there. I will shoot everything with flash where it's needed. I think generally flash is needed a lot more than it is used, especially among MLS photographers. There are a lot of people who just barrel through and shoot, 3 exposures, send it to Vietnam and HDR and call it good. That to me is not good enough. That is basic level photography. That's what all your competition is doing. Are you going to stand out if you're doing the same thing? Or are you going to stand out if you put lights up and do some fill and make the colors a lot more realistic and pop in your images? The idea of flash is to get better colors and truer colors than you can with just HDR photography. And the image quality ends up being, in my opinion, a little tighter, a little sharper. And they do stand out against that competition, and this will make you stand out against that competition. Will it take more time for you to do? Yeah, it certainly will. It'll take you a long time to just learn how to do it. But the payoff is not just setting yourself apart in the market. The payoff is being able to charge more for what you do. And when you start charging more, you're making more money because you're spending more time doing things like lighting. So there is a vicious circle upward, and that is a lot better than that vicious circle downward when you're fighting for the cheapest photographer. Stand out by being more expensive, but have a justification and a reason for why you're standing out and being more expensive. And part of that is using lights. Another thing is when I'm setting up this shot, I'm going to be moving all these chairs. I may move, if this flower is blocking something I want to see in a shot from over here, I'm going to move the flower. It's not just about lighting, it's about composition and building each shot so that it shows the room off as best as possible. If you're shooting from right here, all you've got is the giant back of this chair. Not a good shot compositionally. But if you come up here and you're shooting this way, and this flower is essentially filling that blank space there between this couch and that chair, all of a sudden you've got a pleasing composition. And with the lighting that you've added, this purple is going to pop. Everything is going to look good. Your pictures are going to stand out, and you are going to be unique. I think I've already mentioned in this house that the staging was done by the realtor. And one of the reasons I keep getting called back by this realtor is that I pay attention to the staging and I use that. And I'm adding something to it too. And that's, I think, what makes you a valuable partner as a photographer also, adding something to what the realtor has already done. The thing about realtors is there are some that I just need a photographer, I just need shots of this place, and they will be the people that call the cheapest photographer. Those are not my clients. I get calls now from people that say, oh, did you shoot 1313 South Main? Or did you do this house? Or so-and-so said they used you on that house. I need that look for my house. That's when you know you've made it as a photographer, in my opinion, because people are hiring you not to fill a slot and be a photographer, but hiring you because they like the work that you personally do. I get hired because people like the work that I do. My work stands out, my work differentiates them. One of the things I tell realtors is I'm not shooting this house to sell this house. I'm shooting this house to sell you, the realtor. And when you can start building that relationship with a realtor where you're their partner and you're selling them, not the house, they will realize the importance of what it is that you do. And you will be on their team and you will get called back again and again and again. 90% of my work right now is all with realtors that I've shot 10, 15, 20 houses for this year. And, my best client this year, I think I've shot over 20 houses. And I keep getting called back because I'm dependable, I'm on time, I dress fairly nicely, I represent the realtor well, they can count on me, I have good, fast turnaround, and I am a partner that they can rely on in the real estate space. And that's what you need to be too. You need to be a partner for your realtor. One of the things I forgot to mention, and it's so very important. So this is your super secret sixth thing to do, is be fun. Be the photographer they want to hire. Be, talkative and not all business. People will hire people they like to be around. And it's so, so important. I know a local photographer who he's just not a fun person. And he'll get hired once and then clients will, I literally had him sub for me once and the client said, don't ever send that photographer again. So I can't stress enough how important it is to be good-natured, light, and fun, even if you're not feeling it. It's as much a performance as it is, anything else. So act like you're having fun, even if you're not. Be smiling and full of energy and peppy, even if you're not. And try and, win people over and be their friend. Another thing that you really have to do to be successful in this industry is to be consistent. And to me, that means that not all my edits look the same. And that's something I think that's really important. This is not a house with a tremendous amount of light coming in. So this is going to be a fairly evenly lit space. But in a space with a lot of light coming in, I'm going to use that light to show off the home. And while the edits for those light streaming in homes is going to be different than the edits for these, the quality of those edits is going to be equally high. When you come to a home, if you're shooting, this is, I think, 2,200 square feet, this house, it's got 2 floors. If you're looking at 30, 35 minutes, you're done. You're not on track with me. This, to me, is an hour and a half job. And that's because I'm putting in the effort to do what we've already talked about, the composition, the lighting, the walking through, the getting the feel for the home. And once you have that feel, then you know how to shoot. I call it the soul of the house. That's what I really think. And while consistency-wise, the edits are not going to be all the same, the idea of showing the soul of that house is something that goes through all my work. And that may sound really goofy or very highfalutin or whatever you want to call it, but if you're letting the home speak to you, you will know what I'm saying. And that is the path to follow. And that's the consistency that you want to have throughout your work is to show that home in its best light. So it's that consistency and that reliability that keeps clients coming back because, again, they know they can count on you, but it's also that they know that they're going to get something other than what they get from spray and pray sort of photographer. Again, that's what's going to make you stand out. That's what's going to make you get hired. And that's what's going to build a career rather than just being the photographer who's the cheapest and can fill in and I just need somebody to shoot pictures of a place. So keep that in mind. I know a lot of people, especially beginner photographers, it seems like, they'll shoot something and it won't be lit really well or it'll have some idiosyncrasy. And the beginner photographer will defend it by saying, oh, that's my style or something like that. And the thing is, that's just you being lazy. Don't be lazy. Your style is not something that, I crank the saturation or I like to have the shadows go black. That's not a style. That's just you doing something to try and stand out. And that's not the way you find a style. A style will find you, in my opinion. You will be shooting for 3, 5, 7 years, and all of a sudden, you'll have friends go, oh, I saw that picture. I knew that was you because that's your style. And that's when you have a style. But, just by, cranking, the window pulls or cranking the saturation, that's not a style. That's a lazy way out. So again, shoot to the home, be consistent, and again, you will stand out as a photographer and you will gain and keep clients. Okay, my fifth and final point that I want to make is to invest in yourself. I'm not giving you permission to have gas. You may not go out and buy the newest, greatest camera. You don't need to. Whatever camera you're using right now is all you need. There's no advantage and many disadvantages to shooting a Z9 over a Z5. A Z5 will get the job done. I mean, let's face it, our final product is 2,000 pixels on a side. You don't need 500 million megapixels to get that done. Where I see you investing in yourselves is things that make your job easier, get you through a house faster, and take the load off. One of the most overlooked places, I was talking with the photographer a couple days ago, whatever. And she said, when you get extra money, should you buy a camera? And I go, no. Where I think you should spend extra money, you're not going to believe. She goes, oh, a lens. And I said, no. You should spend your extra money on a tripod. When you have a lackluster tripod that the leg gives way or it doesn't level easily or something like that, I don't think there's anything more frustrating than fighting a tripod. Spend the money. I've said many times, I use a $1,400 tripod and a $2,000 head. I use the Arca Swiss Cube head. And you know what? I don't worry about it. It is invisible to me. It makes my work easier because I don't have to think about it. My tripod, I never think about. I don't have to. I take care of it. It takes care of me. So invest in something like that that's going to make your life easier, better, and make your work life faster. The other place to invest and to invest heavily is in your learning. Right now, it's mid-October. We're a month away from PMRE. I will be there, and I believe this will be the 7th year that I've gone. And that is an investment in myself and getting better and learning. I've never come back from that and not radically change something about my business or something about the way I do business. And if you're serious about getting better and being a better photographer, you need to do things like that and invest in yourself to become a better photographer. I'm extremely good friends, luckily, I should say, because they are three of my favorite people in the world. But I'm really good friends with Wayne Capilli, Tony Colangelo, and Fraser Almeida. And they give classes a few times a year on stepping up your game as a photographer. I don't think there's anything more valuable than signing up with them and getting in at least one of their classes. I've taken 3. And, since then, I've had the good fortune to have a shoot in Las Vegas, and Fraser was my assistant. That is pretty cool. I will be doing a shoot. I did one up in Park City, and I remember FaceTiming Wayne Capilli and showing him the room and him helping talk me through making that room really come alive. So it isn't just the class, it's the lifelong friendships that you get from those classes, not just with the teachers, but the people in those classes. My phone's right over there, and I don't know if you've heard it dinging during this process, but it has been. And I guarantee you that those are all people that were in a Wayne, Tony, and Fraser class with me. We have Facebook groups based on those classes. That's how tight we became after those classes. And these are really good, world-class photographers. And we talk on the daily about things. Right now we're talking about business being down in October, which it is, and how to correct for that. And when you can talk to photographers that you look up to and appreciate and respect from all over the country and get a variety of different opinions, you're so much ahead of where your competition is. So anyway, let's just wrap this up. I know this has gone on really long, but these are all very simple things you can do to step up your game and become the photographer who stands out rather than being one of a group of real estate photographers. There's a lot more things you can do too, and I expect you to find those on your own. It's not that hard. Make sure that you offer everything in the book. Have drones, have Cubicasa, have video, have stills, have tilt shift lenses, have all those options. You don't ever want to say to a client, no, I can't do that, or I don't know how. If you are being stepped up to something you've never done before, spend some time, watch some YouTube videos about it, and then, you know what? Practice. That's the one thing most people don't do. They go, oh, I can do this. Don't do that. Practice. You've got a home somewhere, an apartment, whatever. Do it in your apartment. Borrow a friend's apartment and practice it there. If somebody wants you to make one of those videos where, the camera does a swish pan and the realtor's in there, and then it swish pans to another room and the realtor's there, and it swish pans to another room and the realtor's there. Don't just think that you're going to make that up on site. You won't, and you will fail. Do it and practice it. I just so happen to be really good friends with a guy who directed The Office, which is famous for those swish bands. And I did a test before I did the actual video. And he happened to be in town and we were having lunch. And he said, let me see the videos. And so he actually watched them and he gave me a critique on how to cut these better and make it work better. So don't be afraid to reach out to people that you know that are either good in video or whatever the case may be, and get feedback. And sometimes, it may hurt a little bit inside when people criticize your work and you think you've done a good job. But you know what? That's the only way you're ever going to get better. If I sit here and just tell you, oh, your work is great, and I blow smoke up your ass, and are you going to get better? No, it's going to feel good. No doubt about that. But you are not going to become better. But when somebody you respect can look at your work and say, well, you know what? Lower the camera a little bit. That's something Wayne and Fraser told me about a shoot I did a couple of weeks ago. Lower your camera. You're too high. And it's Wayne and Fraser. They're right. So I learned from that. And, just get to the point where you take criticism well, because that's the only way you are going to get better. Anyway, way too many tips. I do hope you've learned something. I am Dave Koch, and I do hope that your next shoot will be your best shoot.